All right, everybody. We had a little bit of a misadventure there with the webinar getting restarted. Um, my apologies there. So let's see here. I was Where was I? Let me. I'll explain what happened there in just a second. Just make a few other people organizers here so we don't run into this again. My computer just simply restarted, and I haven't really had that happen in the middle of a webinar, but it just happened. I don't know why. So here we are. Okay, so starting back from the beginning, we were only a few minutes in, and we'll just pick up where we left off. I actually I just jumped on the Amazon Plus Community Mastermind. I noticed that Larry made his first Amazon sale. Obviously, it's only about $50 to get started, but these stepping stone earnings reports really matter. Brad, are you there? Brad Mabry?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Jumped right back on. I appreciate that. And actually, let me quickly put a post on the NHB team. Just let people know that the webinar restarted. Let's see, so everybody knows. Okay. All right. So it is back up and running. Okay. Great. So, anyways, but never a dull moment here at OMG. It's one of one of the fun things that we have going on here. Okay, so we're going to get to talking more with Brad about Amazon. Brad's got even more substantial earnings report, quite a nice large Amazon Plus earnings report, and we're going to, speaking of Amazon, be talking about some Google Social Plus, Google Social stuff and so forth. I wanted to start off actually with Chris Morris, and let me see, Chris. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Now, Chris,
Okay, cool.
I just wanted to bring you on briefly here. I'm quite excited. You just you just released a software to Project X members. It's in the latest news feed. If I go to, I'm just going to sign into Project X here real quick. So if you sign into the latest news feed here, then right near the top on the June 24th post is a download here, and you well, can you tell us what this is all about in your own words? You wrote up a whole post about it inside of the Facebook group, and now we moved it inside of the Project X members area.
Right. Yeah. So this is a tool that I use along with it's specifically for GSA search engine ranker. What it allows you to do is get very specific on the number one thing with scraping is obviously your footprints. It's a huge factor in the type of results that you get back. And so what I was noticing was that in doing research for other clients and just my own research, I was able to detect that a lot of these, people were using GSA out of the box without doing any kind of type of real customization to it, and the backlink profiles were pretty blatant in terms of spam. And then I was looking at others, and I could tell that they were doing some type of automation linking, but their profiles looked more natural. So if someone was to go do a manual review on their site, the links would look pretty natural. And so I
Yeah,
wanted to try and find a way to get the best of both worlds, to be able to use the automation tools that we have available to us that we're being taught, and do so in a way that makes it look natural and we get the best bang for the buck. And obviously with GSA and these type of tools, running them is pretty expensive, so I don't want to we don't have time and money to waste on scraping for footprints that just don't make sense or
sure.
end up shooting us in the foot. So what I did was I created a special tool that I put up there, and first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for the feedback and support that you guys give. This is such a great community to be a part of. So thank you to everybody for the support. This tool allows you to get very specific on the location, the type of site that you're scraping for. For example, if you wanted to scrape for government links or education links, or get down to specifics on location, if you have an Australian business, it would make sense that you get Australian links.
Yeah,
So this tool, really allows you to hone in and get write in on the type of links that make your site look natural and that just makes sense. And you're not wasting time spinning your wheels scraping for stuff that just doesn't work and just bottom line, leaves you in the dust with the competition.
Yeah, let me give folks a little bit of context here in case some of the nomenclature is singing past your head. Right here in the social network domination area, if I click in on the domination main page, then right here we've got a very special section here. Jimmy Kelly, you're going to be hearing from Jimmy. You're going to be hearing from Jimmy in just a second here. And hey, Jimmy, how's it going? So right here, when you see that that social domination, when we're blanketing page one and ranking for keyword after keyword, right now I think somewhere around 5 out of the top 10 when you search for Nashville SEO is not just our website but our Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Now we're partially doing that with PBNs, but we're also using a software called GSA that automates link editing for us. And we wouldn't use it for our websites, but we certainly use it to rank, social properties, Web 2.0s, Yelp pages. We can use it for Amazon pages, and to rank apps if you wanted to rank app pages like Google Play pages, anything like that. Anything you want to rank in the Google search engine that's not a website, then GSA can be a really powerful tool for that. But the one thing that keeps it a little bit in balance, like Chris pointed out, is that it's a powerful tool. It requires a lot of power, a lot of server power, and it can run into even hundreds of dollars a month depending on how powerful you're running it. So what Chris has done is he's created this tool. It's inside of your and if you want to get oriented on GSA and how it works, you'd go here to the Nashville SEO Social Series, and then of course the GSA training. And the G Scraper training. It's also, we've written it up in your Project X blueprint. So it's just written step-by-step instructions in your Project X blueprint. If you don't have access to the Project X blueprint, you can email me at omg@omgmachines.com. I'm going to zoom in on that. Okay. And
right,
go ahead.
I was going to say that the training that Jimmy's put together and you guys have put together in there, that's first and foremost. You guys, if you don't understand GSA or how GScraper works with GSA, then the software won't be of any use to you. So you really need to dive in and get connected with Jimmy and get his training, and then go back and look at the tool that I've created, and it will make a lot more sense. And then you'll start to really be able to appreciate the power that the software, basically puts in your hand instantaneously. Using the software vanilla out the gate is really, in my opinion, pointless, and you'd be shooting yourself in the foot. So
you mean using GSA straight out of the gate?
Yeah, I mean, well, any type of link building software, if you're being specific, but with GSA or any tool that does automation links, if you're using it vanilla, you are really shooting yourself in the foot, and you might as well just not waste your time. You really need to go in there and learn the ins and outs of the software, but then try and think outside the box of how to stand out and use the software in different ways that other people aren't doing, so that you don't run into like the spam sites, for example. I see a lot of sites where it's just blatant spam. There are a lot of Chinese backlinks, for example, on a local Phoenix website, for instance, and it just doesn't make any sense. Why would a location-based website here in Phoenix be getting a ton of crappy Chinese links? It just doesn't make sense. So once you understand that kind of stuff, then this tool will make a whole lot more sense to you guys.
Great. I want to take a moment to actually make Chris an organizer, because I want to give folks the opportunity to thank him. This is really cool. I got to tell you, OMG is so extraordinary. We talk about it. It's a city on a hill. As time goes on, we'll help you understand more about what that means. I guess for a lot of people, it feels pretty obvious. Just the good feelings and the success and the help that comes around. But Chris put this together, his own blood, sweat, and tears. It's his own personal property. Carefully bolted it together. Took a lot of understanding, a lot of testing, costs out of pocket, and he put together this tool, and he's releasing it inside of Project X. I didn't ask him to do it. David Mills didn't ask him to do it. Greg didn't ask him to do it. He just did it. And it's just extraordinary that we have this sort of thing. And it's kind of funny. You may not even need it now, but down the road, you might realize that it's awesome and that you really need it.
Can I say just one thing about this? My thoughts on some things here, Mike.
Please do,
if you don't mind. Yeah. So it really goes down to mindset too. When I first joined NHB, I came in with a very specific mindset, and that mindset was that I was going to not only learn everything that you guys have put together, and what a great community it was, but the whole spirit of sharing is to me the most important, because what I learned was that the more that I gave back, the more that I was able to help people, you know, the more that I received. The things that people, you know, when you first get into something like this, you think, okay, well, what am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get out of it? But that's completely wrong mindset to go in at, because those things that, you know, you want, money or relationships or anything of that nature, those things will come naturally if you're giving freely without, excuse me, if you're giving freely without any, you know, regard for your own personal gain. Those type of things come naturally, and that's the whole mindset that I came in with, and OMG has proven to be such a great city on a hill, like you say, and you know, we say in our community, where people give freely, and that is more important to me at the end of the day than, you know, receiving money or whatever. And it's because of that attitude and whatnot, that I've been able to build great relationships with people and be able to turn that into a success for myself and those people who I'm able to help. And yeah, so.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Chris. You know, we have one of the things we're going to have David Mills on shortly, and talking about advantage thinking and whatever he wants to talk about for the last couple of weeks that David's been on, and he's released a couple new videos in the law of implication, and we've had a real focus in law of implication on understanding personal property and how powerful it is to really respect your own personal property and to respect other people's personal property. I mean powerful. I'm talking about money getting powerful, happiness powerful, and like, for example, if we didn't really respect and appreciate personal property, then what is there to thank Chris for? Because we could just steal his software, right? Sorry, nobody wants to steal, but there would be nothing to thank him for. It would just be like, you know, thanks, slave, for your software. I mean, of course, that'd be, you know, as I say that, I'm, you know, mean it completely ridiculously.
Right.
So we really appreciate that, and this is so cool. I'm telling you, for the folks that are using GSA, this is such a godsend. This is really, really terrific, and GSA is a powerful tool. Very few people understand how to use it, and so I'm really, really excited that we have this. I think it's so cool. I've actually made Chris an organizer. So if you take the opportunity right now to thank him, I want to thank him. I'm going to type in a thank you right now. I thought this was so awesome. When Chris let the cat out of the bag to me that he was going to share this, I thought, this is just killer. This is just killer. And Chris is also the inventor. This is not the first time that Chris has shared a software exclusively with Project X. He actually shared his sniper software inside of Project X as well. His PBN sniper software as well. So this is not the first, but the second time that Chris has done this for us. So just blown away. And Chris is, you don't always see him. He's you know, he's on the Facebook group and you know, moving here and there and behind the scenes and stuff like that. But you don't know, he's one of the powerful forces, one of the quiet forces, but one of the powerful forces inside of the OMG community. He was at OMG Live last year. He was one of the people, when I was standing on stage, I'd look down and he'd be like right there in the front row, and he just kind of burned in my mind in a very good way. So, man, Chris at OMG City on Hill, God bless you. I really, really appreciate you sharing this with us. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you know how to see the question box, but there's just dozens and dozens of thank yous rolling in right now.
Yeah, I saw it scrolling through, and you know, and I felt the appreciation as well in the post, and it really is. It's heartwarming, and I'm humbled. And I'm grateful to be a part of this community. So it's you know, my pleasure to be able to give back just a little bit to the community that helped me get where I am today. So
yeah,
thank you guys.
We're very grateful to you as well, Chris. So I want to thank Chris, and of course, if you want to thank Chris a little bit in public here, you can type it into your question box. And and he's also in the. Actually, I want to just go ahead and do this. I want to thank Chris a little bit more publicly here in the NHB group. So I'm going to just jump in on the thread today here and say thank you, Chris Morris. So thank you very much, Chris. I'd like to leave you on as an organizer. So if people have some questions for you here and there, or if something comes up during the event that you feel like you want to chime in on, then you can
absolutely
talk. Okay, great. Okay,
great.
So
thank you.
You're most welcome. So let me do this next. Let's speaking of the power of GSA, one of the things that you can use, you can rank your Amazon and your other Web 2.0 properties like Facebook and YouTube and so forth. You can rank all those things with. I just kind of want to point this out. Weirdly enough, like Chris's product, what Chris just shared with us could be just a whole full separate product. Just so you know, I mean, it really just could be. Of course, it would only be for people who use GSA, but there's plenty of people who use GSA out there. So I just really just kind of moved by that. It just kind of occurred to me because we just had this kind of sharing in kind of a wonderful way inside of Project X. So really pretty overwhelming for me, and I'm just so appreciative of it. But anyways, Brad Mabry, Brad, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you yourself just shared a recent earnings report, and we thought we were going to spill the beans a little bit on that today. You've been making some moves on. You're just fascinated. You love this Amazon Plus stuff.
Love it. Yeah, that's my primary focus at the moment is Amazon e-commerce type stuff.
And again, you don't let that get in the way. You still have a successful client consulting practice that you do as well. And this kind of goes to show you can do both. And they really help each other. They're all connected. And in fact, you find ways all the time of making those two connections benefit themselves, benefit each other. So can you catch us up to speed on your latest earnings report?
Sure thing. It's the latest earnings report I posted in there was strictly from new products that I've added since doing the OMG Plus module.
So yeah, it's a little over a month ago. Is that about right?
Yeah, a little over that. So I was just now getting started with these products. One of them I just recently listed, but it was a $900 product, so that adds up quickly. I sold a ton of those, and one of them I got ranked number one in with just strictly GSA. Took 4 to 6 weeks to do that from the time I listed it to the time it hit first page. And then the other one, I just now started backlinking. I hadn't even really done any SEO work to it. And I'm pumped for that because it gets 7,000-8,000 searches a month, the terms I'm going to be targeting. So I can't imagine what it's going to do once I get it up there. But basically all I did with that one was list it. And, I was just letting it sit a little while till I had time to go back and start shooting backlinks to it. Bought some ads. It's a lot like AdWords and Amazon, except it's cheaper. And I'm selling $900 products right and left.
Yeah, and you have a real focus. Let's talk about this here because you pointed this out. You said the item range in price from 400 to 900, so don't be afraid to think bigger. This is one of the reasons why I started today by giving a shout out to Larry Romeo, because Larry really listened to you and he went for a little bit of a higher dollar product. The higher dollar products can sometimes have a higher price margin. The reason I say this is there's some fantastic information out there on Amazon. There really is out there in the internet marketing world. There's another big coaching program where they have a lot of people that have success, and hats off to them. A little bit of their focus there, though, is on lower dollar products and just really a high volume, which is one way of doing things. What you've done, Brad, is you've really tried to focus in and zero in on products with, that are in the hundreds of dollars instead of a $15 bicycle pump or something like that. You're focusing more on like $400 car part or something like that.
Correct.
Oh, great.
Yeah, if I pull up a vendor, if I'm searching for a new vendor and I see all they have is $15 products, I pretty much just skip them, go to the next. I look for, like you said, only higher priced products because that's where you're going to make the big boulders of money instead of pebbles. So
yeah, and really to distinguish for people, if you're selling your own product, then selling for a lower dollar can make a bit more sense. a lot of what Brad's doing, Brad, you're not taking on a bunch of inventory here,
No,
which,
not at all.
and I really want to kind of sort this out for folks. The nice thing is that way all Brad has to do is SEO. Like he just sets the page up correctly, chooses the right product, and he does SEO. And but there's not the exposure, right? Like, and there is a real exposure. Like when you have, Jimmy had a client he was working with who bought like 40,000 pearl necklaces or something like that, and they're still, sitting in from China, and they're still sitting in a warehouse collecting dust. They haven't sold a single one. So, and I'm not saying that's not the only story. I mean, listen, I've done this myself. I don't want to. I'm afraid to get David Mills started on this, but I created these deck boxes for Magic the Gathering, these boxes to carry Magic the Gathering cards. They looked really cool, and I did sell. I think I ordered like 10,000 of them, and I did sell a couple thousand of them, but I wound up with thousands and thousands more that I wound up schlepping around from here to there. David actually, I'm laughing, but I mean, he helped me move them at least once or twice. And it was just like hard physical labor, just schlepping these things around. And I know you can do
at least once or twice every month. I found.
That's David Mills there. No, but it's real. And these and the other thing is it's just a product cost. I mean, that's I really got my start in internet marketing and e-commerce. I mean, for the first couple of years, that's practically all that I did. I did some information marketing for my game store. But anyways, I did a lot of e-commerce, and there's just a hard, vicious reality. Like once you start having stuff that you have to sell, then you have to store stuff, and you have to buy the stuff to sell it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but as you're ramping up, this is such a cool method. It's such a cool method, and it gives you a lot of confidence. I wanted to check really quick and see if Larry was on, because it's really something neat to sell. Larry is on. I'm curious, Larry, I didn't want to go overboard with this, but I did want to give you congratulations. And we actually got another nice earnings report from Larry, I think right around last month as well. But anyways, if you have a microphone, Larry, and you care to come on and just comment briefly, but just let me know. You can message it in the question box, and if not, no worries. But Brad, it does give you some confidence. Being able to sell that higher dollar product here and there.
Yeah. I've the products I've kind of told people about. They're like, "There's no way you can sell that." I said, "There is a way." I said, They're like, "They pay $400 for this product." I said, "All day." So it's kind of a mentality thing, Just because you wouldn't pay that much for it or you wouldn't buy it doesn't mean everyone.
That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah, just because you wouldn't do it doesn't mean. Yeah, that's a really great point. Well, yeah, I want to thank you, Brad, and this this Amazon OMG Amazon Plus community mastermind is really turning into something special, and I just want to thank you for doing it. I want to point out that you can get individual coaching. I would do this myself if you're interested in getting a little bit deeper into. Amazon Plus is just so invaluable. Brad periodically has coaching. Sometimes it sells out, so it's not always available. But here's bradmabry.org, and this is something I really believe in. We've had lots of people sing Brad's praises. Pretty universal. I know. Just heard from a lot of different people that have worked with them. Particularly Brian Magnosi sticks in my head as somebody who jumped in and got some help with Brad and got listings up right away and so forth. So you can head over to bradmabry.org. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And whenever Brad has coaching office hours available, I would jump right in with that. Brad, thank you so much. I really appreciate your valuable time. Was there anything else that you wanted to say on your latest stuff? And by the way, I want to point out that it's just valuable to know that doing the exact stuff that me and Brad and Jimmy and some other guys have been talking about, doing those exact stuff. Brad, this week you added $3,000 in revenue. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Basically, I mean, just get started. Start looking for a product. Don't get frustrated. That's why I tell everyone you're going to run into some suppliers that you're going to have to throw by the wayside early. Just learn how to recognize them and move on to the good ones. So a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people will get frustrated with that right off the bat and just throw their hands up. But just all you need is one good supplier to really bring in a decent amount of income per month. So
Yeah,
if
it's like if you find one gem, then it can really blow up from there.
exactly. Yeah. And these are manufacturers for the most part, the ones that I find, and they have no clue how to do any kind of internet marketing.
Yeah.
Todd Spears and I were talking about someone that I found for him the other day, and he said, that makes me throw up on my mouth looking at their website. I said,
That sounds like Todd Spears, all right.
yeah, I said, I know, but I said, most manufacturer sites are like that. You just got to look past that and look at the product and how
Yeah.
can you remarket it, rebrand it. So that's all there is,
Nice.
that and GSA, Jimmy techniques, OMG style listings, all that stuff. It all ties together.
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
I just hear Chris is Jimmy. Brad is Jimmy. Everybody wants to talk about Jimmy. Who's this? Jimmy!
You want to talk about me?
Hey, Jimmy. All right. So this is Brad. Thank you very much. Can we get a round of thank yous if you please for Brad? Actually, I'm going to jump back in the main thread here, and I want to thank Brad. Hashtag boom. Actually, I'm going to give a hashtag bad Brad because he is bad. I want to thank you very much, Brad, for jumping on.
Yeah,
and
pleasure.
You're an organizer, so please hang out as long as you feel like you have time to do it. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do.
And thanks, Brad. And of course, lots and lots of thank yous pouring in the question box as well. So thank yous for Brad. Thank yous for Chris. Really great. Okay, great. So let us turn the beast loose here. Jimmy Kelly, the man that people sing about. Jimmy, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. I like that interview there in that video. That's just funny.
The interview there in which
Some
video?
in my spare time. That video right there that you're looking at for that.
Oh, the Jimmy Kelly interview, Social Explosion. Good to know to be productive there, Jimmy. I appreciate that. Okay, great. Most excellent. So what I wanted to do today with Jimmy here is we're going to talk about we began this webinar talking about how, of course, you can use GSA, and isn't that cool how Chris Morse put that software together, Jimmy?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
he always comes out with some handy software. I love Chris. He's
awesome. I feel exactly the same way. I think Chris is awesome. So so here's the thing. There's two different sets of rules out there in the real Google search engine. So if I go to google.com and if I type in any dang thing in the world, let me try to think of something as random as possible here. Rap music. I don't know. I don't know why I'm typing this, but anyways. I'm on Safari. Let me pull up Firefox here. See if Firefox will work here. Then there's basically, Jimmy, one of the things that's happened in Google is that nowadays there's kind of a new way. There's like a dividing line in Google. There's ranking websites, rules for ranking websites, and then rules for ranking kind of everything else. So like rapmusic.com here is obviously a website, and then there's other things like, by the way, I did not plan this. Look at Amazon.com right here, ranked number 4 for rap music. But the point is, we're going to have two very different sets of rules here. And they're based on domain authority. What happened is around this time last year, maybe a little before that. So for a little bit over a year, Google decided to come up with what amounts for two different sets of rules. One set of rules for ordinary websites and another set of rules for social and Web 2.0 websites. Websites like Amazon, eBay, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, what have you. Yelp, if you're in local areas, all these social websites and so forth. And they have, I've got the Moz toolbar uploaded. You can download this off of SEOmoz.com. And this Moz toolbar, what it's showing is right here, it says GA99. and that means domain authority 99. And this site right here, rapmusic.com, actually has a very high domain authority for a website, for an ordinary website that people own. When I say, of course, Amazon.com is a website, but we also understand that it's this huge business that's just sort of out there, and it's used by millions of different users, and the users are the ones that are publishing the content. That's kind of what makes it Web 2.0. Whereas rapmusic.com is owned by whoever the owner of rapmusic.com is. Like that's the guy who owns that, and the content is then created by the owner of that website and only by the owner of the website. Maybe they have some blog comments here and there, but it's not necessarily just a site like Amazon.com or Facebook.com or Wikipedia.com where people can just publish their own pages. And so what happens is on sites with lower domain authority, which almost every new website will have a much lower domain authority, on those sites, we really need to have, we're much, much better off doing very few backlinks in most cases, very few links to the site, and having them be very high quality. So just basically, long story short, use private blog networks on your own personal websites, right? So if I go, another example of this would be for Nashville SEO. So right here, this is our website that's ranked #1. It's got a domain authority of 27, which is actually a little higher than it used to be. But then we've got this Weebly page here ranked #2, and it's got a domain authority of 96, Jimmy. And you were the one who, so far as I know, at least inside the OMG community, to really popularize this. And so what happens is with Nashville SEO, we really, the only links coming into Nashville SEO are coming in from private blog networks from Greg, or links from our own Web 2.0 pages, like our Weebly page, or like our Facebook page, like our Yelp page, like our YouTube videos, stuff like that. But this Weebly page here has, how many links do you think it has, Jimmy?
I don't know. I did a little cleaner method on that, just because it's so powerful. If I would have used GSA to rank it, it probably would have bumped the money site. So I was a little more concerned. But you can open it up though if you want.
Just click on the Weebly page.
It's right. It's right there. There's 43 links only.
Oh, okay. Page. Oh, I see. Yeah, 43 links. Now, now you have some pages though where you can jam like thousands of links to it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, in the case of a Weebly, because it's content rich, and you can get a lot of optimization done on there, as opposed to what you could do on a Yelp page or some of those other citation sites. You just have to be careful that you're not overdoing it and then bumping. I mean, for us, we'd rather keep the money site at the top.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we're much better off there. So what I want to do is, so this GSA method that we're talking about is something Jimmy created a whole series of videos inside of your Project X membership area, in the domination area, in the Nashville SEO area, and that's how we rank. We've got this Nashville SEO is ranked #1, Weebly's #2. This is our Yelp page right here. This is our YouTube video. This is our Facebook page. So we're really just all over the place on here. Usually about 5 out of the top 10, sometimes a little bit more. And but for somebody who's just getting started, who's not quite ready to bite the bullet on GSA just yet, what we wanted to do, Jimmy, was bring you on today for a lesson in how to use Fiverr instead. Would it be possible for you to take us inside of that?
Yeah. Do you want me to share my screen?
I would love that.
Or do you want to pass it over?
Yep, I sure do. All right, so I'm going to make Jimmy the presenter, and Jimmy is going to share how to use Fiverr gigs. Fiverr.com is a website that, let's see if I can pass this over to you here. So I'm making Jimmy the presenter. Fiverr.com is a website. It's a great way to actually start doing outsourcing, by the way, because it's so cheap, as opposed to other situations where you might be starting off with a $400 a month outsourcer or something like that. And so Fiverr.com is a certain website that allows you to do various outsourced tasks for, as the name suggests, $5, and for like $5 at a time. So Jimmy is now going to take us inside of how to use Fiverr as a bit of a replacement. It's not superior to using GSA. If you know how to use GSA, you're better off using GSA. But if you're just getting started, this is so easy. And just watching what Jimmy's doing here can really vol you ahead. So Jimmy, you have the floor.
All right, thanks. Okay, so a couple of things. There's a few things that have changed since some of the video, just so you guys are aware. So Panda 4.0 can affect these high DA sites, but they can still take the abuse from the links. So what does that mean by Panda affecting your site? So you need to be careful about your optimization. So one of the common things I see, like let's take a YouTube video for an example. So let's say they want to rank for, well, I'll just use the dog training keyword for an example. So they renamed their channel like dog training expert, and then they went in the video they used dog training expert, and then also put in, you know, best dog training secrets, and then the description they also put dog training a ton of times in there. So that's way over optimized. So when you start sending your links, that's going to trigger a Panda because you're you know, it's well over optimized, and then you're sending anchors to try and rank for that on those high DA sites. So while it can handle the abuse of the link, it won't handle it if it's over optimized. So just be careful when you're optimizing your pages. So same kind of thing on an Amazon page. When you're looking at this, like this is the title that you'd see when it's ranking in Google. So you just want to make sure that whatever you're trying to rank for instance, this would probably be how to rank for Google. You want to make sure that you're not keyword stuffing the heck out of this. Now, there's kind of a balance there because you can get more phrases in Amazon by putting in some of those other phrases, but if you're wanting to maximize both, just be conservative with how many times you drop your keyword into the title, and then same with your description. So the other thing, one more thing I just wanted to cover real quick is, so I clicked off of my Amazon. You want to make sure that where you're sending your links is the correct destination, what Google's, you know, indexing. So all this stuff after the ref is all just junk, right? So you want to delete that out, and then just to make sure I have the right URL string, because they're all a little different. You know, if you're using Yelp or whatever, is what make sure that you're getting it right. So I always take that URL and I'll paste it into Google and do a search, and it comes up here that looks like the same thing, and I just click on it just to verify that it's the same URL. So this is the one that Google's indexing, and this is the one we want to target. So with that, now that you know what target to go after, you're going to want to go sign up for an account, and there's a few things that you're looking for. So another thing is you want to try and get that Amazon. It's good. So let's say you do a search like rap music, for instance. I'm sure when you go to that page, it's going to display all the other products on there. It's not just going to be the individual listing that you're trying to rank for. So because of that, because DA is the same between your individual product and the category page that Google's trying to rank for, we just have to manipulate the PA to get Google to release it. So if it's on the category page, it's easier to take over that SERP by hitting it with links, because you're just battling PA at that point. So what you want to do is just go and grab, with most of the niches I think you guys will be in, you're not going to have to do a ton of, you know, you're not going to have to do a ton of quantity of links most of the time. So these are my two favorite ones that I like to use here. And basically, they're just high PR kind of quality type sites. You know, they're not going to be something that's, you know, ridiculous. So this guy will do high 25 PR9 plus backlinks. You know, and what you're looking for is like, you know, it's like the DA coming. So that's the trust of those links coming to your destination. So you could do less. You could do more with less, if that makes sense. It's kind of the same thing of using like PBNs for this type of method too. So you just go in here and you just order it up and put in your keywords, and and let it rip. And then typically, so I'll share with you guys these two that I typically do. I'll just drop them into the chat here in a minute. But one thing I like to do also is I like to do this as a second tier after I do this first one, right? Okay, so this is going to go through and bookmark all these other URLs that you get from this Fiverr gig, and then also send it out through an RSS feed. So it's going to make sure that all these get indexed. So right there, that's $10. So the other thing I always like to do too, so on these ones, these are like, you know, like social signals to your, you know, social signals to whatever you're targeting. It doesn't have to be an Amazon page. This is like for citations or YouTube video. Anytime you're going to be hitting it with links, I also like to hit it with, you know, a fair amount of bookmarks too, because that kind of gets the social interaction there, and that makes sense that you're going to be getting links to that page. So you must have to be logged in for that one, or it could be gone. Let's see. So anyways, what you want to do, you can just go do a search for bookmarking gigs and throw those in there. But I'll put in these links of my favorites that I like to use, and just let it run and sit. Make sure they get indexed, and see where you're ranking. If you're not seeing anything, then go in and add more power. So that's just kind of the process. Is that kind of cleared up for people?
All right, great.
Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, it makes quite a bit of sense to me. What I'm going to do is, this is one of the great things about us having this be a live webinar, is I can walk through the questions that we're getting in the question box here. So, to bring things back to you know, peanut butter and jelly English, we've got a website that we want to rank in Google. In this case, it would be an Amazon page or a Facebook page, maybe for ourselves or for a client. Could be a YouTube video. And I want to point something out, Jimmy. If you can pull up Nashville SEO and pull up in the Google rankings and pull up the video there. I want to first talk about some of the Panda updates as they pertain to the social stuff, because Greg did a recovery. You can keep the Fiverr page up, maybe pull up a new page. I'll come back to Fiverr and talk about it in just a second. But anyways, as Jimmy searches for Nashville SEO, then one of the page one listings there is our YouTube video. So Jimmy will scroll down and we'll get to that in a second.
Can you see it?
Yeah. I think we're a little bit behind on your page. Are you on your screen? Are you showing the YouTube video? Yep, there it is. So can you click in on that YouTube video, please?
Yeah, I have it up. I think it's just lagging a little bit.
Yeah, it's just lagging a little bit. Okay. So if you scroll down into the description, then in the description, this description used to look very different, and Greg had me re-optimize it because of Panda. So this is something I want people to be aware of. So the way it used to look like is it used to say, you know, it still said Nashville SEO at the top. I added the phone number, by the way, which was something I wanted to do. And then where we've got just these paragraphs right here, above the paragraphs, I was spamming keywords. So it would say Nashville SEO, Nashville, web design, Nashville search engine optimization, Nashville, all this stuff. So it said Nashville SEO and the word Nashville and SEO like 27 times. And we really consolidated that. Now it says Nashville SEO, like once, besides URL strings, it just says it once, right? Just that one time right there in the first paragraph. And also the title of it had Nashville SEO in the title like 3 times. So it was just totally Nashville SEO, which we could get away with. And we did. This video was on page 1 for over a year before we had to do anything to change it at all. Then the ranking started slipping. Greg went in there and figured out these Panda changes. Obviously, Jimmy was involved in that. And then what we did was we reduced the number. And this is going to be the same for Facebook or for Yelp or for Amazon or whatever. We wanted to bring down the amount of times that we were saying Nashville SEO. And give me the number one if that makes sense. If we're helping, because boom, the ranking shot right back up. It's just this over optimization component. If that's a little bit of a light bulb moment for you.
Hey,
Great.
Mike, I had the same thing happen with a few Amazon listings. I was kind of over optimizing them.
Mm-hmm.
After Panda hit, a few of them dropped off. I showed that in a video to the Amazon group, but I kind of de-optimized it, and it bounced right back, even stronger than before, actually.
That's so valuable. That's so valuable. I just love this. I find this stuff to be so exciting. So that's the first thing. The first component, we've got that in place. I think that people really understand this optimization. And by the way, as a separate number one, let's give a shout out to to Google here, where everyone's always so mean, like, oh, Google's updating, that's so bad, this and that. To take you back to David Mills, I remember, and we'll have David on in just a few minutes here, but I'll never ever forget this. The game that David and I were playing when we first met is called Magic the Gathering, and we wound up being number one and number two in the world, but we were number nothing in the world when we met. When we met each other, we weren't, the top pro players in the world at all. And we were both, promising, kind of local stars, but we weren't, national and international stars like we'd ultimately become. And a new set of Magic cards came out, because that's what happens with Magic. Magic is like a cross between chess and poker. It's a strategy game that's all based on mathematics and strategy. And there's a little bit of gamesmanship involved, bluffing and so forth, because it's a card game and you shuffle the cards, a little bit of luck and randomness. But anyways, long story short, if you imagine that chess had like 1,000 pieces and you built your own chessboard, and then every few months they would publish new chess pieces, and each of them would have different moves that they could make and different properties, then that you're getting a little bit closer to Magic. And I remember, at some point we had really gotten the formula down and really gotten things right, and we were really starting to succeed. And they just came out with a brand new set of Magic cards. And I remember expressing like a lot of frustration and misgivings and doubts to David Mills. And David was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Why are you upset?" He's like, "Why are you upset?" And I was like, "Well, because, we finally had it right, and now they changed the formula." And what David said to me, I want everybody to just stop and internalize this, is that what David said is, our skill is learning. Okay. Like, our skill is understanding, not our skill wasn't being successful with, Alliances Magic cards. There was a set called Alliances, right? It wasn't that or Ice Age was another set of Magic cards. It wasn't that we are hyper specialized in being successful with Ice Age Magic cards. No, our specialization was understanding. And it was. That wasn't just a platitude. I mean, and you get around David Mills, you'll understand this. You get a real spark for it. And he said, we'll learn, and we'll learn faster. And so the more updates, the better. And I really internalized that. And it was true. It was true, by the way. We immediately, the first the next set that came out was called Mirage. And I made the top 8 of the first big Mirage Pro tournament. And then the next big Mirage Pro tournament, David took, he was in the finals of it. And the next one after that, I won it. So David was exactly right. This wasn't just something where it was a platitude. I mean, and this is a very competitive game. So I want to give a shout out to Panda here for a second here. I mean, this is great news, because other people that are out there and that don't have this up to the moment information, they can't respond. They don't know what's going on. They don't have Greg. They don't have Jimmy. So I'm going to go to Facebook and give a good old hashtag Panda, because Panda never gets any love. There's just this cute, cuddly creature that's bashing down our competitors' web pages.
And one thing I wanted
Jim.
to add one thing, Mike. Some people are saying, like, how do you bring back citations? So there's 2 other things to take into consideration. So one is, can you de-optimize that 2.0 that you put up? So that's your first step, is de-optimize, just like what Mike did here on the YouTube video. The second one is look at your anchorage. Like my list, when I do an all-out aggressive campaign, my anchor percentage comes in at 5%. So you want to look at your list. This goes back to the value that Chris is providing with that tool, because it's going to help you get a bigger, more unique IP list into your GSA. And so what you want to do, let's say you go and look at the link list of whatever you have, because people starting out aren't going to have a huge list. Let's say you go back and look and like, oh man, I don't have, you might have some footprint properties that are just anchor text heavy, and so maybe you've over anchored your your citation.
Yeah, and the anchor text in
So
this case might be like for Nashville SEO. You wouldn't want more than 5% of the links coming in to just say Nashville SEO.
yeah, and so you got to base it off your list. But the good thing is, let's say you look at it and you're like, oh man, I'm way over optimized. Just go back and run a second GSA campaign and put it to 100% other. So that's just going to run through the other list, and you can edit that list and put in as many other words as you want to do for your list, and that will bring the percentage back down.
Yeah, that's something that
And
Greg calls
I've had
link
so many, yeah, I've had so many videos and so many citations bounce back just by doing that. When I, maybe I leave a campaign running for, a month or 2 months, and just some of those things that you forget. So that's a way that you can bring back some of those that might have dropped.
Right.
So de-optimize first.
Yeah, we kind of randomly here got into recovery on social stuff, but it's pretty valuable. So we're not just talking right now. We're not just talking website recovery, but we're also talking. Sorry, we're not just talking about ranking Web 2.0 pages with GSA and with Fiverr, but we're also talking about how to recover lost rankings. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as people are aware of those steps, I think that
there's two things that we want to really keep in mind. If we have a Web 2.0 like a Amazon or a YouTube video or something like that drops in rankings, a Facebook page that drops in rankings, two things we can do. One is reduce the percentage of our keyword, de-optimize it on the page, right? Like reduce the number of times that we say Nashville SEO. That's one angle we can take on things. And the other angle that we can take on things is reducing the percentage of anchor text that we have going in from our links, either from GSA or from Fiverr or even from our PBNs in this case. Is that right, Jimmy?
That's correct.
And of course, we're not with Fiverr and GSA. We're not really able to change the link text like we are with our PBNs. So what we're going to do with Fiverr and with GSA in that case is just fire more links, but have none of the new links have our anchor text in it. None of them have the anchor text that we're trying to rank for. So in this case, it's literally a case of less is more. A lower percentage of anchor text links means a higher chance of ranking. So give me a number one, if at least one aha moment. We're about an hour into the event here. We're just getting ready to turn things over to David Mills. But give me a number one if things are starting to click and starting to heat up for you. I think this is a pretty fun event, right? I don't know how we do this every week. It's pretty fun. Yeah, a lot of people are getting this. All right, great. So now let's click back over to Fiverr and get that component understood. So as we go back over to Fiverr, then what we're going to do is we're going to order essentially a basket of links. That's one way of looking at it, right? There are people that will do something like GSA for us, and these are reputable pros, people who are good at what they do. Many of them have done hundreds of these gigs or even thousands of these gigs. And Jimmy's got two specific, they're called Fiverr gigs, but a gig is basically a specific outsourcing package by a specific outsourcer. And so Jimmy's got two packages for us. Jimmy, can you run through the two recommended packages, and we'll give everybody the link. If you're live on the webinar, Jimmy's putting it in your chat box, and in the replay, we'll provide those links below where you can go straight over to them. So what are the two recommended link packages that you're talking about? Can you take us over to this Fiverr gigs and show us?
Yeah, so these are my two favorites, and these I usually use for low to medium competition keywords.
Great.
Like, just know if you're going after a competitive keyword, you're going to have to order a lot more, and obviously not the same gig over and over, because that's not going to do you any good.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first one, and you're going to get you get 25 PR9 plus backlinks, okay? And what it comes down to, you can also order some add-ons down here. So if you want PR8s and PR7s, like do as many as you think you need.
Okay.
And then when he goes to get your details, you can just tell him what anchor texts you want.
Okay, and what anchor text would you tell him, Jimmy? Let's say that we are starting Nashville SEO from scratch, and we were trying to rank a YouTube video with this gig from scratch. You know, I just shot a new video today, and you were going to use this gig. What would you tell him?
So I'll usually do the main keyword first, and then I'll do
so Nashville SEO.
Yeah, Nashville SEO, and then I do 3 to 5 related terms. So
okay, so let's say 4 of them. So that one might be search engine optimization, Nashville. One might be Nashville web design.
Yeah, and you could do Nashville SEO company, and just do related because you're not doing the GSA on these. You kind of have to test to see what their percentage are going to come out to be.
Great. So let's say we give him 4. Let's say we give him 4 keywords. Are all 25 of the links going to have that anchor text?
No, I mean he does. Most of these people do a good job of dilution and stuff as well, but you want to make sure you're not diluting your main keyword too much, because then it won't perform in the SERPs. So
we're trying to find that sweet spot. So we give him, let's say in this case, our main keyword and 4 more other keywords, so a total of 5, and then what?
And then you just place the order and just wait for it to come back. Now he's going to send you your URLs back in a report. They'll send like an Excel sheet, or sometimes email you or whatever.
So now we've got those 25 links back from him. What do we do with those 25 links?
So then you take those 25 links and you're going to go to the second tier. And this one is going to help get them indexed and give them a little more juice. And so this one here, she does a really good job. This is going to add 20 bookmark backlinks, and it's going to do 40 RSS second tier backlinks. So it's going to get major indexing, and all those other 25 links are going to get, the 20 bookmarks and the RSS links that will be going to the first tier.
So we're basically creating, weirdly enough, for $10, we're creating a 3-tier backlink structure going back to our YouTube video.
Yeah. And then you can always do...
Give me the number 1 if you're following that. I think that this is so awesome, by the way. I'm so glad to be sharing this with folks. Yeah, Cotton Grammar, by the way, says, Jimmy talks, I listen. How about that for a compliment?
Cotton's awesome.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, lots and lots of number 1s coming in. By the way, I had a really fantastic talk with Cotton the other night. Anyways, go ahead, Jimmy.
And it's same thing with either of those other 2 that I shared. Those are just my favorites, and those are the ones I typically use for Amazon, especially on low competition type searches. They work great. So
great.
And typically on some of those, they'll even give you the login and username, so you can go back in and edit those too if you want. If you want to pretty them up or make them better.
Nice. Yeah, if you want to change the anchor text percentage and tweak it a little bit, like Greg style, almost as if they are your own. They're creating like little mini PBNs for you.
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. This is all really fantastic. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say we do these two tiers and things are still a little bit slow. Is there a continuing, ongoing thing that we can do to kind of ramp things up?
Yeah. So, you could do this first set here first, and then you just go over and you order the second. Just order that other link that I sent. And
Which
so
one?
that'll well, that's on this one here. Hold on one.
Jimmy's seems like Jimmy's taking care of something.
Sorry about that. The kids are bugging me.
They're rampaging. They're on the move. They're rioting.
They're on a rampage.
They have pitchforks and torches. They want more Google rankings. All right, so go ahead, Jimmy.
So, and I think this was the other one. I'm not sure though. We'll see. Hopefully I'm getting this right. So, and these guys are awesome too. This one I know for sure will give you the logins for what they create for you.
Nice.
So, and you could do add-ons here. You know, you can get extra 25. So you do one of the first tiers first, and then do that second one to get them indexed and extra power.
Yep.
And then if that's not moving it, come in and do the same thing with this one. Just do these links and then go back and go do
Now,
the same thing for the tier 2 to this batch.
yeah, and to specify one last time, so we've got we've got the first tier, which is actually linking to the YouTube. So the YouTube video is intended to rank on its own. It's going to rank number, say 2 or 3 for Nashville SEO, and the YouTube video, of course, will also rank back to NashvilleSEO.org. So that's a nice plus. Then the first Fiverr gig will link back to the YouTube video. Correct. The first one that's the 25 PR9 links.
Yeah. So the 2 first ones are going to link back to whatever you're trying to rank.
No, are they both? Are they both going to link back to the YouTube video, or are they going to link to each other?
No, they're going to link back to the YouTube video.
Okay, great. So both of the first 2 Fiverr gigs. Got it. So both of the first 2 Fiverr gigs will go ahead and link directly to the YouTube video. And then what's this gig for?
And this one is if you don't get ranking after one batch, then go back and do this one. And that's going to depend on the competition of your keyword base.
And again, you're going to link directly to the YouTube video with this gig.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
What about timing, Jimmy, for everyone? How long should they wait between trying to send more?
I usually wait a couple of weeks and see how it responds. If I don't see anything within a couple of weeks, then I'll just go ahead and do the second batch.
Gotcha, great. And this is the second batch, so this would be the third Fiverr gig.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, great.
And then you do the RSS again to this one too. So.
Okay, great. All right, and what we're going to do, Jimmy and I are going to also clarify this inside of your blueprint. But this is a great lesson. I want to thank Jimmy for this. I think this is absolutely killer. Can we get some thank yous for Jimmy? I'm gonna do a pound Jimmy Kelly in the YouTube or in the Facebook thread. I think that was awesome. Awesome. So to clarify, one last time, Jimmy. So step 1 is we set up our video. And I'm saying video, it could be an Amazon page, it could be a Facebook page. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to link that first Fiverr gig that you showed back to the video or Amazon page or Facebook or whatever it is, the Yelp page. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And then step 3 is we're going to fire the second set or the second Fiverr gig will then link back to that same video. And do we wait 2 weeks for the second one, or do we do the first 2 right away?
I mean, you could do the first 2 right away. I mean, it really just depends on if they want to be aggressive or not, or if they care about replacing the video or not.
Great. So ideally, wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, the thing is, you want to be making sure you're getting the social signals anytime you're hitting it with links. So, go get bookmarking gigs or whatever to. If you're targeting a YouTube video, go hit it with conservative views and conservative likes, like using Vagix or something. And then if you're going to be using a citation, make sure you're throwing bookmarks at it. And I typically will start that right after I start once I order the backlinks to the destination.
Okay, great. Great. All right, I'm going to make myself the presenter. And I think that was very helpful. What I'm going to do is try to diagram this just a little bit, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. I think we are, but I like to make sure. I like to double check. So I'm going to make myself the presenter, and we'll keep Jimmy on here for a second, and then we'll go straight to David Mills. So I'm going to make myself the presenter. I'm going to try to. And that is not working, weirdly enough. Okay, it is working. Okay, great. All right, so can you see my screen now, Jimmy?
Yeah, I could see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to pull up just just Snagit to do a little diagram of some sort. Okay. So let's do it like this. So let's say the first thing that we have is we make a YouTube video. And this red circle here is going to be the YouTube video. Okay? And
Okay.
make that a little bit larger. So the YouTube video is created, and it's, of course, listed on a YouTube channel and all that good stuff. So YouTube video. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take that first Fiverr gig that you showed, the 25 PR9 links. Oops. Let me do that. Lost my nice text there. Now this is a YouTube video. Ooh. Yeah, for some reason I'm having little technical difficulties here today. So this is so this will be our YouTube video. We'll just understand that this is a YouTube video. This red circle here is a YouTube video. Next, we're going to create a Fiverr gig. That first Fiverr gig, which is represented by this purple arrow, and that first Fiverr gig, which is 25 PR9 social links, are going to link back to the YouTube video. So they'll have that same link text as the YouTube video. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's going to be the destination. Then at the same time, or in 2 weeks, are we going to send that second Fiverr gig with the woman with the glasses and the social bookmarking?
Yeah, so the social bookmarking with RSS, I usually will do as soon as I get the first Fiverr gig report back. So I have the targets to order the second one.
Okay, so now we've gotten this Fiverr gig. It's provided us with 25 links. So we have two things from that first Fiverr gig that I'm hovering over right now. This first purple arrow represents the first Fiverr gig. That gave 25 PR9 backlinks. The destination, all 25 of them link back to our YouTube video. And what we also received was a report from that Fiverr gig. And that report is 25 links, correct?
Right.
Okay, great.
Or
and
more
now,
if you ordered the extras.
So let's just say we ordered one. Now that second gig, does the second gig link?
I think it's 25 URLs particularly, right? When you say links, is it helpful to say URLs, or am I misunderstanding?
Yeah, so there's 25 backlinks that will go to the target. And then
they will be from 25 different websites or 25 different URLs, of course.
Yeah. And then the second tier is going to be the bookmarking the RSS back to those 25.
Terrific.
Backlinks.
So the second tier, the second gig, like once we receive the first 25 links, okay, then we are going to pass those 25 links on as the target for the second Fiverr gig. So the second Fiverr gig will not actually link to the video. They're actually going to link to those 25 PR9 links.
Correct.
And it might be obvious, but I'm saying URLs because they don't link to the links, right? They link to the URL.
Well, in that case, no, they do link to the links. The link in the URL in this case is synonymous. I'll explain it right here. So let's.
No, I agree. I agree they're essentially synonymous, but you're linking to a URL. On that URL is a link, isn't it? Or they're synonymous. Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's a different type of situation.
I'll explain it. There's no problem. It's a great question, of course. So let's say it was. Let's say this first PR9 link, the first of the 25, came from www.myawesomewebsite.com/1234/neatlink. Okay, and if you were then to copy and paste this into your browser, then on this destination would be a link that went to www.youtube.com/Mike's Nashville SEO video. It actually, of course, wouldn't be that. It would be like some kind of gobbledygook 234 123 XYZ, whatever. So this is what we're calling both a link, and David Mills correctly pointed out that that's also a URL. So this is the first of 25 links, myawesomewebsite.com/1234/neatlink, and that links back to youtube.com/Mike's Nashville SEO video. Okay, so that's the product of this right here. This first purple arrow that I'm pointing to is the result of it is we're going to get 25 PR9 links like this one, www.myawesomewebsite.com/1234/neatlink, and that's going to link back to youtube.com/Mike's Nashville video. Then what's going to happen is we're going to order this second. So now we've got these 25 links. There's 25 of them. Link number 1 is myawesomewebsite.com. And the result is the links are created and we get a report of those links. So the report of those links that we get presumably in our email inbox will be maybe a spreadsheet with 25 link locations where they're signaling to us this is where we put our links. We're going to take those 25 links and we're going to give them to the lady who makes the second set of links. Okay, we're going to give her those 25 locations, and she is going to create social links. Okay, she's going to create social bookmarks, and those social bookmarks, the destination of those social bookmarks is going to be this right here. I'm going to just change the color here if I can, with the blue. The destination is going to be this blue link right here. Okay, so this is going to be the destination of her Fiverr gigs. Is going to be the 25 new links that were just created. So we're not linking now to the YouTube video. We're now linking to the URL or links that were created by the last person, by the first Fiverr gig. Does that make more sense, David?
Yeah, it's fine. I just thought using the word URL might help clarify, but it all makes sense. Very good.
Okay. All right. So in this case, it could be URL or link. They both and really.
So it's not a page with a link on it. Like somehow the URL literally is a link.
Of course, there's no physical way to link to a link. So of course, when we say a link, it would have to be a URL.
Okay.
Okay, great.
You don't need to order. You don't need to order. I keep seeing this question. You don't need to order the second tier Fiverr gig to every single one of those PR9 links. You only have to throw in all of those 25 links into that one Fiverr gig.
Right. So exactly. So this myawesomewebsite.com represents one of 25 URLs, as David was saying, and was correctly saying. Each of those URLs, each of those web pages contains a link back to our YouTube video. And we're going to take those 25 links, we're going to feed them into Fiverr, into the second gig that we gave you. And each of those 25 links will receive, each of those 25 URLs will get a backlink from other social bookmarking, from that second gig. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great. And then
and this helps index it and make sure those links are found. So, and it's also, bookmarks are also high DA. So It's just going to help power up those individual links that you got from the PR9 sites as well. So
very good. So we've got fiber gig number 1. This is fiber gig number 2. And then if that doesn't move it, what do we do with fiber gig number 3? The one that the final one you showed.
So you'll do the same thing, only you're just going to order the second fiber gig of the tier 1, whatever you didn't order the first time.
So does the second fiber gig also point back to the first fiber gigs URLs?
No, although you could do that too if you wanted to, but I'll just do the exact same thing, only using the other fiber gig.
Oh, I see. I understand.
But you can definitely do the same thing I mean, you could create 3 tiers if you wanted.
Right. So what we're going to do is this arrow that I'm manipulating right now is fiber gig number 3, the one that Jimmy showed you, and then we're going to repeat step number 2 again. We're going to use the same woman, the same fiber gig number 2, and we're going to link back to these URLs. Is that correct, Jimmy?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, and this is this is what we're going to recommend. Now, at this point, we've obviously just gone for clarity, so I want to find out in typing your GoToWebinar inbox if things are much clearer for you right now. Give me the number 1 if it's clear, and if it's not, go ahead and give me the number 2 because I do want to get this crystal clear for you. Okay, very clear. All right. Okay, great. All right, we're getting near perfect clarity on this. I believe that between this video and what we're going to put into your Project X blueprint, we'll reach 100% clarity. So at this point, I'm going to move on. I feel great about this. This is really cool. So for 10 to 20 bucks, we're looking at a nice moderate ranking. Nice ranking for moderate keywords for Amazon pages, for YouTube videos, Facebook pages, and what have you. Okay. So that's quite a great example. Jimmy Kelly, thank you so much. I'm going to give a hashtag Jimmy in Facebook. Really appreciative of that. And by the way, individually, if you're individually struggling with this concept, you can email me at omg@omgmachines.com. I'll also try to point you out to it. But Jimmy and I are going to write this up and put this in your Project X blueprint. So you can have particularly clear instructions that way. Jimmy, I want to thank you very much for that. Very appreciative of that. That gives people another angle, and hopefully it'll give you some additional clarity on how just things work in general. We covered a lot in a very short period of time. What I want to do right now is jump on with David Mills and let David close out the show here. David has really wowed us over the last couple weeks. This is the 3rd consecutive week he's appearing on our acceleration webinar. Last couple weeks we've been talking about advantage thinking. I brought David up a little bit during this event, and David helped clarify the whole URL link thing, hopefully for some people. David, what I want to do is, of course, we've wonderfully and warmly introduced David again and again. David is a founding partner of OMG along with me and Greg Morrison. David is the architect of OMG. He's the person who envisioned it in the first place, who has guided it. He is the person who makes the final calls on it. He's an extraordinary strategist. Actually, interestingly enough, there was Ben put up Ben Franceso put up a post in the Facebook group yesterday, and he was asking about partnerships and what people thought about partnerships and so forth. And I pointed him back to law of implication. I said, well, if you want to know about partnerships, talk to David Mills. He's the one who's partnered again and again with people like me and Jimmy and Greg and had such success, whereas other people haven't been able to have near the success partnering with us. So a little bit of an odd way to introduce David, but David, let me make you the presenter and let you take away the show.
Cool. I'm the man who partnered with Mike Long. What do you know?
Okay.
All right. Let me show my screen here. How are we doing? All good?
Your screen is now showing.
Okay, great. I'm actually pretty fired up. I know we're getting a little late here, but fairly should be not all all that long to explain this, but I have some really great stuff to share that I'm pretty excited about. I had some breakthroughs myself and kind of trying to figure out how to explain this to you and such. So I actually spent several days working on this almost exclusively. I'm actually going to click back one slide here. Okay, what I'm trying to do, so I'm going to talk about breakthroughs here. It relates to advantages that I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, but kind of a different angle and some different information. What I'm trying to do is give you a different mental model. And we all have a mental model about what I'm talking about, one way or the other. And it's mostly not something we're conscious of, and it has a tremendous impact on our life. And if we can revamp our mental model for what I'm about to talk about, then what can just naturally flow from that can be a whole very different outlook and decisions and behavior and thinking and conclusions and all sorts of stuff, sort of effortlessly, just by changing the model. So to some significant degree, I would, as far as I can tell, people have a mental model of life as containing a fair amount of struggle or like a journey where you're reaching a number of milestones, right? You're making a certain amount of money, maybe getting married or having relationships or whatever it might be, and doing whatever else you do. And then when so there's this kind of, and we sort of act this out, like we sort of create this reality for ourselves because we have this model that we're hardly even aware that we're using. And then once we have that model, then when we come to obstacles, then they tend to frustrate us even worse, right? Because we're already struggling on this journey, trying to reach these milestones and get there. And then if something seems to make it even harder, then that's even it gets even worse on top of that, as I said. So and so the idea of like a breakthrough or something like that, people don't really from that model, you don't really think in terms of breakthroughs. You just think in terms of like, damn it, here's something stopping me, or I thought I achieved this milestone, like this relationship or this money or this partnership or whatever, or this ranking. Like people would rank a website and then they get hit by Penguin even years ago, and it would go down, and then there's give up on SEO, right? So, and so think about the kind of impact that had on their lives, right? Let's say someone gave up on SEO 3 years ago, and we see Cotton making $70, $80, $90, $100,000 with it, and some other person just could have done that years ago. They already knew almost everything they needed to know, but they just dropped it. And so the difference is like $1 million a year for such a person. And then all of us are operating on the same information from Project X, but we get different results. So what I want you to create for yourself and to see in this clear way that I think I can give to you pretty well now, or at least get you well started that you can build it for yourself with the right building blocks, is instead of seeing life that way, you want to see life as a series of breakthroughs where instead of seeing like obstacles or I want to say opportunities as well, but somehow I don't have this perfectly clear to say, but if people are viewing life as kind of a struggle or journey to get to milestones, then advantages are sort of like these sort of resources, and people kind of want to get bigger and stronger in some way, or have more money or something to kind of help alleviate their struggle. So it's all viewed relatively differently. And instead, if we see life again as a series of breakthroughs, and then other than the breakthroughs, you can be in this kind of effortless, enjoyable flow, then you react and deal with life so differently and extremely effectively. And I've mentioned this from time to time, but I had this unique idea that a relationship, like a marriage relationship, could be easy. And everyone really, I can't think of anyone that didn't think the opposite, where they might say that you can have a good relationship. Most people don't, but then even if they do, they say it takes a lot of effort. Or if people are working at a business or if they're in school, it's always I'm busy. It's effort, right? Effort. And because of how they're always talking about how they're busy and things take effort and they had to work on this and work on that, and you're struggling, or if it's in Christianity, you're supposed to struggle with this moral thing and that moral thing, and the fact you're struggling, it means, it's a good thing because it means, you're trying, and so on and so forth. So there's all these little symptoms that you can use the law of implication, and you can deduce that people must believe, they must have this mental model, right, kind of subconsciously, or else they wouldn't constantly be sort of wearing it as a badge of pride and saying the statements they do about how they struggle with this, struggle with that. And also, people want to reach the goal, they want to reach the milestone, they look at an obstacle as something in the way, right, the very word obstacle. If instead you understand life just as a series of breakthroughs, and then otherwise you have this, you're in flow, and then while you're in flow, you're basically gearing up for the next breakthrough, then obstacles are framed very differently, where of course there's obstacles, but it's not that you want the obstacle or not, it's just that life is a series of breakthroughs until you fully get to everything that you want, which would presumably mean that everyone else is wonderfully happy as well, right? Because even if you have everything you want for yourself, that there's people suffering and having difficulty all around us, then at least we can then help them, right? So until we get there, it's not like it's a struggle or a slog to get there. It's just that we flow there and then we just break through and break through and break through until we get there. And this is how I look at things, and it just constantly works, and it constantly is a different method than what I observe other people generally doing. However, when people are successful in various little places in their lives, they are doing this. So I don't mean in any way that I have some kind of monopoly on this, but I'll see people sort of drive in and drive out of doing this, and they'll have success in some areas and not have success in other areas. And plus, realistically, I've had world-class success in several different areas at this point, and so there's really extreme level of success constantly using this. And so then I have this, and then plus, so instead of this thing up here, life, a struggle, and journey, we have the series of breakthroughs, and then goals instead are inherently desirable results, as opposed to often people can achieve a goal and then find out they're not actually happier. So we want goal somehow, one way or the other. We have things that they're inherently desirable, and then what we're trying to do is, we don't even need to celebrate so much achieving a goal. We can appreciate it, but if our goals make sense, then we're automatically happier for achieving them. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense to have the goal in the first place. And then they just lie across a series of breakthroughs to get there. So you can think of like extreme happiness as just on the other side of a whole bunch of breakthroughs, at which point the only issue becomes understanding how to just break through most effectively. And so let's get to that. And let me just point out some areas, and then what I'll do is I'm going to bounce back and forth between this slide here, where we're having breakthroughs where sometimes we need to innovate, such as you have Project X, you have an understanding how to do free traffic, you want to get clients. To some degree in your particular personal situation, you want to innovate, or let's say you're part of the Amazon Plus group and you're trying to follow along with what Brad is doing, and then you need to in some way maybe innovate to figure out which product you want to ship out or promote and so forth. Or someone will enter Project X, and sometimes I'll get an email and say, "Whoa, I put it off for a few months, and I'm looking at this, and wow, it's overwhelming. There's so much stuff to learn," and so that shows a fundamentally wrong mental model for learning, right? And for just life in general, like I talked about, where it's like they look at all these stuff to learn, and again, it's like this big struggle in order to reach the milestone of an income, right? And they look at Project X, through struggle or journey, to hit the milestone of making some money. Maybe they'll write to me and they'll say, I want to make X amount of money in 60 days. How do I do that? That sort of thing. Well, the real way to do it is to think as I point out here, is think in terms of breakthroughs. And so learning, then we have blocks, right, where we have these, somehow we're not, like something is blocking us from getting the result that we want, one way or the other, either in our mind or in something external, and we need to break through it. Or there's some sort of problem that we want to demolish. Another type of breakthrough we want is that we might want more alliances, right? Maybe we want affiliates to promote our product if we have one, or other types of relationships. Maybe we want to meet a significant other, or maybe we want other business JVs and such. And so we want this, right? And so then the question is, you can think of those as breakthroughs rather than, again, a struggle to get affiliates to promote. You can think of it as as a series of breakthroughs with either individual people or regarding one person, a series of breakthroughs with the relationship itself, and then where it becomes effortless once you, other than the breakthroughs. So it's not like a struggle, but instead it's a series of doing what you need to do to break through. Or just having a project come from something that people think of in their mind like they want to have happen to actually making it happen. And then I'm going to give you this strategy, or this kind of, it's really, again, this adds on to your mental model. It's like a plug-in for this mental model here, the original one. And so this is like a plug-in. And I'm going to relate this to what's on the previous slide here. So I'll give you kind of 15, it'll be like a grid of 15 things that I'll say verbally. I don't have it on slides. So in general, however, the formula, I'll tell you in general, then I'll give you specific examples. So in general, the formula for having a breakthrough is we could just picture it, right? We can picture it like a mass, like an object, like a fist or a pebble or whatever, like an object breaking through a surface, like a board or a piece of metal or a wall or something like that, right? And then it becomes pretty easy to understand that you can make a pretty exact analogy to physics, where in order to have a breakthrough, then one way or the other, you want to narrow the surface area that your fist hits, right? Because obviously the more the focus, the smaller the surface area, the more force per square inch. So that's good. The bigger the mass of the object, like your fist or a rock or whatever, that's better. And then the faster it's moving, the better. All right. Now we can a little bit use our judgment, be moderately inexact in applying this, because once we have this mental model or this plug-in to this mental model, then your effectiveness in life, you can deal with anything in life, such as building your business, with just this formula, and you're oddly set. And then when you're operating off of a model in particular, then actions and thoughts just flow and make sense. And once the model itself is an example of a breakthrough, like picturing life this way is an example of a breakthrough in the sense that if you really integrate the model into your thinking that I'm giving you here, then it's effortless to do things very differently, right? To have these breakthroughs, as opposed to live life like it's a struggle to reach milestones. And then you reach the milestones, you're not even happy, right? Then you go for the next milestone, right? And just like it's an endless journey and struggle. Life is neither about the journey nor the destination, right? You just want to think of it this way instead. Okay, so let's start being specific here. So let's say we want to innovate. Then an example of what narrowing the surface area might be. And again, like we don't have to be perfect with the surface area mass and velocity thing. But once we just start thinking that way, then pretty much anything we come up with is going to work. But so if you want to innovate, you want to think about how you want to figure out how to get to some clients or whatever it might be, or have some idea to deal with something in your life. Then one of the ways to excuse me, to narrow your focus. So I was trying to innovate, for example, for this presentation right now, and I spent several days on it because unfortunately all the stuff that I have on these slides didn't spring directly to mind. So instead, what a lot of ideas spring to mind, and instead of getting excited about this idea and that idea that just seemed good, then what you want to do is, when you're trying to innovate, when you brainstorm, you want to cross things off. You want to cross off dead ends. And in one sense, that's obvious, but in another sense, people aren't really that eager to cross off ideas. You're not trying to play the devil's advocate either. You're just trying to, whenever you think of an idea, then you just want to stop and try to think of counterexamples. For whatever reason, something in the news lately in terms of immigration, right? On the southern border of America, there's a lot of immigration going on. And for people to get to a solution to that, then what people don't do is cross off all these obviously wrong ideas. There's so many ridiculous ideas flowing around, such as the idea that I'm not advocating any particular solution right now when I cross something off. So, but people will say, well, I'm not opposed to immigration, I'm just opposed to illegal immigration. But if you just stop for, I would think it'd only take a few seconds, but this doesn't even occur to very smart people. Millions of people believe that argument, when in fact that argument depends upon the idea that if it's illegal, it has to be bad, right? Because we're saying that something good becomes bad when we put the word illegal in front of it. And so it must be that in every case, when something's illegal, that must make it bad. Now you say, well, but David, what if it's in some cases it's illegal, it makes it bad? Some cases would matter. If sometimes something's illegal is bad, then putting illegal in front of it wouldn't give us any more information, because we wouldn't, since sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, we wouldn't know which one it was. So it wouldn't contain information. If someone's going to use that argument that it's illegal immigration, the people that you're against, then that depends on it would have to be the case that every time something's illegal, it's bad, or to make something legal is good, and that's clearly not the case. We don't think that just because something is the law, that it should be the case, right? There's some laws you might disagree with, including not even in America, but if you think of in other places throughout time and history, there's certainly laws that might have been on the books that might not be correct, or things might have been illegal that weren't necessarily wrong. So people could just stop and think for just a few seconds, and they could toss out that whole argument, but they don't. And if they were to toss that out and keep tossing out all the wrong arguments, then we can come to a solution. And that's what I do over and over in zillions of ways. That's how we came up with Project X, is by acknowledging what was not working or what was, at least things were working, but what was suboptimal about Endgame or even NHB. What was suboptimal at NHB was that we needed to have something else to generate, to have new people come to OMG, like generating leads and so forth. And with Project X, we don't need that. We can directly have people promote. So, okay, I probably won't be so long-winded on all of these little examples, but I wanted to kind of stop and point that out to you, because it's so important and really quite rare that people properly just stop and cross off wrong ideas in the right way. So if you do that, then you're narrowing the surface area. And if you, because you can't just identify correct ideas, or else you'd already have the innovation, right? So the only what I mean is, innovation would be quick and easy, and everyone would do it every second. We'd solve every problem within seconds if we just had an idea that sprung to mind and we could identify that it was the right solution. The only thing that's realistic is to narrow down and cross off dead ends. That works with what we really do and how we really are able to think, and the fact that we have limited awareness. So keep doing that. You're narrowing the surface area. Then in terms of still dealing with breakthroughs in innovation, dealing with increasing the mass, again, just by having the mental picture will tend to give you ideas, but one thing you can do to increase your ability to have an innovation is to become something I mentioned last week, but this will help explain it more. Become an initiate. The more you, let's say you want to innovate in getting clients for yourself, then the more you know as basic information, or even not so basic, but the more you know about client getting, the more ideas you hear from Cotton, David Hood, and many other people for getting clients, the better, right? So you want to, when Einstein had his breakthroughs, he had a bunch of knowledge, right? He wasn't already I don't think he was a PhD at the time, but he had knowledge, right? So you want as much background knowledge as you can get within reason is really going to help you. So that kind of increases the mass when it comes to innovation. So more knowledge, become an initiate, as I put it. And then velocity. In the case of innovation, the results formula video, where you're really picturing how great it'll be if you do get the innovation that you need to get you the result that you want. The more creative tension you can build up in that way is an example of how to increase the velocity. So you're of course brainstorming, but then you're crossing off all the things that aren't working and all the arguments that don't work and ideas that don't work. And you cross it off properly by just taking, I see this very consistently, where people just don't really stop and think of counterexamples for what they think of as a good idea. And if they did that, then it should only take them seconds or minutes when they can cross that off. Because people don't want to cross stuff off, you see, because they just don't look at life that way. You look at things like a struggle or a journey, it feels like you're taking a step backwards if you cross off an idea, right? Like if if I cross off that the illegal idea, that illegal is what makes the immigration bad, maybe something else makes it bad, but the illegal can't be what's doing it. People feel like they just took a step backwards, like I attacked or defeated something that was helping their ideology along, right? You probably know I'm sympathetic to conservatives in general, but that argument makes no sense, right? And so again, from this mental model that people don't even realize they have, then the things that would lead them to a breakthrough feel wrong. So you have the wrong mental model, and then the right actions feel, and the right thinking feels wrong, it feels bad. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they felt like I was like potentially I was actually trying to help them make something that they were doing effortless, but because they had partly the wrong mental model, they felt like I was implying that something that they were doing was I was belittling it, like I was making it seem less. But for me, it makes perfect sense that that's something that we have to do. We want to make it effortless and enjoyable. If you have the wrong mental model, you conclude that if you make your if someone or if you figure out how to make your work effortless and people know about it, then that's not a good thing, right? Or if someone else says, oh, you can do that effortlessly, what you do for work, you would feel belittled, right? That's the natural conclusion from the wrong mental model, when in fact it's great for what you do to feel effortless. And it might, if something currently that you're doing is not effortless, it means you need a breakthrough, and then it will be effortless. Okay, so that is innovation. Let's talk about, let's say, breaking through blocks. So again, let's imagine you're trying to get clients and you feel like you are blocked from doing so, like some sort of mental block or something's not really working right. Okay, so you want to start to narrow the surface area. And once you stand on this perspective and look at things from this way, it doesn't really matter what you come up with. You'll come up with good ideas for, like you'll create the right conditions for a breakthrough generally by looking at things this way. But if you're trying to get clients, let's say, then try to narrow. I talk about decluttering, right? And here's an example of why. Is again, I look at life as a series of breakthroughs, and so I'm always trying to create the conditions of my life to have breakthroughs. I really focused in. It's probably people wouldn't guess if I didn't tell you. You probably just think that this just kind of all pops into my head, and I maybe spend a few minutes putting it on slides. But I focused for days to come up with what I'm telling you right now. Days, almost exclusively. I can do that because my relationship and my business at this point is pretty effortless, right? But because of that, I'm able to put whatever I am working on, I'm doing it in the way to have a breakthrough. And so again, I approach things in that way, and then you get the result of that. Maybe if I had a time limit, I had to talk by now, right? So if I could have waited another month, maybe this would be even better. However, by focusing in, I was able to have a pretty good breakthrough where I'm pretty happy with how this ended up turning out. And I'm not always all that happy. Sometimes I don't feel like there was a major breakthrough, and I'm just doing my best to explain things to you as best I can at the moment. But I do feel quite good about this particular presentation. So you narrow your activities, which I did, right? I didn't do a lot of other things. I mostly just worked on this. And so if you're trying to break through with getting clients, then maybe let other things go in your life, if you can, right? You need to have a stable base in life, but the more you live your life where you can not be pulled and tugged in all sorts of different directions, then the better. In terms of mass, like for getting clients, for getting through a block if you feel blocked to getting clients, then increase, let's say, your expertise in a particular niche. Like Fletch does things. All his clients are in the niche of contracting for energy efficiency, and so he has so much knowledge about that it's like a lot of math when you're trying to punch through a wall. It's so easy for him to get clients in that niche, right? Because he has so much expertise. So again, it's like a lot of math. Or you can accumulate more evidence. So one thing would be expertise in a niche. You can have that and evidence, or you can have one or the other, whatever. The more you have, the more mass you have. And when I say evidence, I mean you can rank for various terms. It doesn't have to be your city SEO. Of course, that's a great one. Could be, or your city web design, but it could just be anything, right? That you could be an Amazon page, or it could be just something else in your town. could be just a, your city guide, GUID, right? Whatever, the more, but, and then someone can say, well, how much mass do you need? Well, again, it's simple. When you're looking at things in terms of breakthroughs, then you just keep on increasing mass, velocity, or narrowing the surface area until you break through. See how easy? And that's all you need to do. Almost it's all you have to do in life is you just identify the next thing you need to break through, and then do these 3 things until you break through, and then move on to the next thing. And you're never struggling. You're just doing this, right? Like in essence, you're in flow, breaking through, right? That's what you're in a meta sense. That's what you're in flow in your life doing. And I can testify I pretty much do live my life this way. For me to accomplish something, either I can automatically just do it. There's plenty of stuff like that. Or if I can't, then I just do what I need to do to break through. So pretty simple. Pretty much that's the only things you encounter in life, right? Either you can do it already, pretty effortlessly, or else you break through. If you're struggling, then the only thing you need to struggle is like for basic survival. Once you have that, then there's no reason to struggle after that, right? Like, so you have your basic stable base, should be very basic. Beyond that, no reason to bother struggling. Put all that energy that you put into struggling, put it into breaking through instead with something that'll make life easier, right? And then do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's all you need to do. Again, the only time you might need to struggle is if you just hardly know how to survive at all, right? And then the more you can reduce your expenses and everything, the better. Simplify your life until whatever you're forced to struggle with, whatever rush that you have in your life where it has to be up, right? You can't break through on a particular time schedule, right? And so the less that things are absolutely rushed in your life and this difficulty just to put food in your mouth and pay your utilities and for rent, then you can just focus on breaking through. I've had to do that kind of struggling in my life. I understand it, and you have to do it when you have to do it. But the sooner you can get to pure breakthrough stuff, the better. And it's certainly possible to do that. Okay, with learning. So of course the Project X is an example. With GSA, a lot of people still have yet to learn GSA. So of course they're blocked with it, but also you can apply just breakthrough with learning itself. One thing you can do is start by narrowing down the topics, right? Like the more bite-sized you can make it, the better. The more you're narrowing your surface area. Sometimes people write, as I said, when people write to me and say, "Oh, all this stuff in Project X, what do I learn?" I say it's focus on the free traffic section, focus first on PBNs, that sort of thing, right? Although I make sure you can at least handle the on-page stuff on your website. Make sure you understand about URLs and anchor text, like in the sink or swim type videos, and that's what you need to know. And so that's narrowing the surface area down. Critical mass or mass, the more time that you spend learning can be helpful. And I'm sorry, I left out something important here. With surface area, and you can maybe put this into mass if you want, but I think it's more like a surface area type thing. That another part of narrowing down is not just with the topic, but something very important with learning is to realize that what you're trying to accomplish when you're learning is the first thing you're trying to do is get a mental model that you can then build the details off of. And first you use details. I've mentioned this before, but it's so important. First you use details to assemble the mental model, and people get all confused about that, and they're watching videos or they're learning from a teacher, and they're like, "Oh, I'm never going to remember all this." If you're saying that when you're hearing something, you misunderstand learning, and that's screwing you up in your life over and over and over and over again. Instead, the details are there at first for you to assemble a core model that makes sense out of that is like a framework to make sense out of the details and to attach them in the right place, like plugins. And then once you assemble that, then you put the details on in like a second pass through. And so if you know that, then you're very differently narrowing the surface area when it comes to learning. And then you can just put in time. A good time, by the way, to learn is before you go to sleep. Sometimes you don't really feel like working on something. It's a great time to just sort of absorb and watch some videos. And then it's another case where velocity. I skipped velocity when it came to blocks, so I'll go back to that real quick. But velocity, creative tension, again, when it comes to learning, if you're very clear in a sort of a natural, connected, integrated way on how what you're learning is going to specifically benefit you in a way that you really want that benefit. So if we use GSA as an example, then if it's kind of murky in your mind of exactly what GSA is going to do in terms of making you income, if the dots aren't connected naturally in an integrated way in your brain, and you'll know whether the dots are connected naturally in your brain in terms of the benefit to what you're learning, is if you feel very inherently motivated to learn it, the dots are naturally connected. If you don't feel motivated to learn something, it's because the dots aren't connected. And your brain, we don't learn better if someone motivates us to learn by a disconnected reward. That doesn't help learning. It might help someone sit there and pay attention, right, because they want the reward. But it doesn't help you learn faster. However, when your brain has a natural connection to what you're learning and a desired result, then you do definitely learn much faster. For the same reason, or another way to look at that is the emotion center, the limbic center in your brain gets stimulated when you're learning something where it's clearly connected to a result that you want. And when the emotion center in your brain is stimulated, then things get imprinted much more powerfully in your brain. And your brain decides that it wants to memorize that stuff. And so it triggers learning. Just to go back quickly, with blocks for velocity on breaking through blocks, enthusiasm can help you. So if you're trying to break through blocks on getting clients, then enthusiasm, maybe making videos like Cotton recommended, doing, just looking at some of my notes here. One thing with velocity in general, I have here removing friction. So if you're trying to, with any of this stuff, but if you're trying to break through a block where you feel like you're not accomplishing something that you want to accomplish, and you feel like you theoretically could, but something's stopping you, then you don't you want to kind of metaphorically speed up how fast you're moving in some way, again with like enthusiasm or having more potential clients to talk to, or that sort of thing, but also try to remove friction like vectors and things that are working against you. You know, fear of rejection, or if and this is where research into like a topic that you're or the researching. Let's say you are going to talk to a dentist, researching either his website and or the niche and the searches, and the more ammunition you have when you're talking to them, that can help you break through kind of a fear or lack of confidence and so forth. That would be potentially a piece of friction. So again, when you're thinking of velocity, also think of things that make you move forward harder and faster, but also like if you're throwing a baseball, then the stronger arm and a good motion would increase your positive velocity, but then anything that can remove the wind resistance would also be helpful. Okay, let me try to fly through these last two here. Okay, so for forming alliances, then a breakthrough, trying to get breakthrough velocity for that, we would think okay, I want more certain, I want to narrow the surface area, and then so what'll do that with alliances and other relationships is chemistry. See, what people often do when they're looking for alliances or a dating relationship or something, instead of looking at chemistry, they'll look at that they're attracted to the other person. Or if it's a business alliance, they'll think, ooh, it would be great for me if Oprah promoted my book, so I want to get on her show. Or I want a JV with this guy who's a real powerhouse. Well, if there's not chemistry there between you and the other person, then it might be too impossible to break through and form an alliance with that person. It might not be worth trying. It might be worth going and narrowing things down to people that you do have good chemistry with. So instead of just looking at, oh, that person would be great if I JV with them, narrow things down, narrow the surface area to people where there's what's more of a chemistry. All right. Either you could be more on the same level, or you have some in some way where you guys really hit it off quite easily. This held me back for years. I really didn't have very good friendships in my life until I was like 20, little bit at the last year of college for this, high school for the same reason. But then I spent like 3 years in college without many good friendships until I realized that I needed to basically seek out and make friends with gamers because I would have a natural chemistry with them. And so this can, in practical terms, this can hold people back tremendously if they don't realize how important chemistry can be, and instead they just try to make alliances based on that they're attracted in some way to the other person. I don't mean romantically. It could be they're attracted, business-wise or something. Mass, the more personal strength that you have, right? The more you have yourself together and integrated, and more resources you have, the more, I guess, status in some cases. I try not to worry too much about status, but whatever works in terms of your personal strength. And also, if people have good feelings around you, that's a lot more mass that you're working with, right? Metaphorically speaking, when you're trying to break through and form close alliances with particular people. Velocity, if you have more enthusiasm, more positive energy, less negative energy, is an example of removing friction, less judgmentalism, less including of other people. Like if you're talking to the person you want to have an alliance with, but you're criticizing other people, that's going to have a sort of negative energy, and they're going to figure you're going to do the same thing to them when their back is turned. So it could be more, that you spread yourself out with more people that you potentially are meeting, so you can have more chance to break through as well. So there's that example, and then a final example, making projects hit the road, or if you're trying to get yourself to take action in some way, or you're working with a partner and you're trying to make a project actually happen. I run into this a lot. I don't know how much you run into it or not, but you want to break things down into a smallest reasonable step, and you want to clear out other steps where, again, you'd think that people would do this, but they'll have a conference call with a bunch of people and say, all right, great, let's get to work. And there's kind of a lot of potential stuff that might get done. And instead, if you really narrow things down for a specific person on one specific, very doable task, then it's so much more likely to have happen. And I'm very careful about spreading out responsibility. I don't like to email multiple people. If I want something done, I email one particular person. There's the famous example, I think her name was Kitty Genovese, where she was attacked, and there was all sorts of people in an apartment complex, and none of them called 911, or none of them helped her. And people say, oh, that's because people don't care. It's not because people don't care. It's because the responsibility was too spread out. So there wasn't the narrowed surface area for the breakthrough for someone to help her. In terms of mass for getting a task to happen, the more getting more resources to be able to do the task, more knowledge about the task that relates to being an initiate, like for innovation breakthroughs. And then velocity, just having devoting more time, either clearing out time would be more like surface area, but just devoting more time to making something work. With OMG, when we were getting it off the ground and for over a year, I think I worked every single day. I didn't go on vacation. I made it a priority over my family and so forth to be there and make it happen. And so the rubber hit the road. But if I was always off, getting distracted and treating other things like they're a priority, then things wouldn't have happened, and I would have spread in some way, presumably to my partners and such. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a whole bunch of examples to think. And then for this mental model and this plug-in for the mental model, and you can hopefully live your life this way, where it's breakthrough to breakthrough, and generally you're living an effortless, enjoyable life with your work being effortless and enjoyable. That's not automated. It's effortless and enjoyable, very different than automated, and your relationships being that way and so forth. Okay, that is everything.
Alrighty. If you have questions for David, now's a great time to put them into your chat box on this. I personally filled out several pages of notebook paper with notes on what David was saying. Felt great about that. Let me show my screen here. So let's see, a lot of stuff coming in. Awesome, David from Fran. Let's see, thanks from Cynthia. Awesome stuff, David from Tracy. So lots of thank yous. Any questions for David on kind of a bit of a three-step formula there, narrowing the surface area. So kind of chipping away at the kind of the false positives, false stuff. Then there's increasing mass, so we can just increase our understanding, get stronger in the area in the shared thinking like we talked about, and then finally the velocity. They're really getting that breakthrough through velocity. You can use the results formula for that, create attention and so forth. Okay.
I'll quickly address something Janine Martinez asked. She asked David, do you ever just shut your brain down and spend a few minutes working to clear your mind and purposely don't think, so that when you start thinking again, it feels fresh and new? One thing I do is a great time is when you're waking up, is to just pay attention to the thoughts coming from your brain. Remember that's sort of hearing thoughts don't just make sure you don't equate that with innovation, right? Every idea that comes to your mind isn't going to be right, and the way you really innovate is to cross things off. I pretty regularly listen to my brain's feedback like that, and between that and writing things down, I definitely have a situation where I'm not deleting or missing ideas that are coming from my brain. It's not exactly that I shut it down or not, but it's very similar to that, where I chill out, I'll relax, I'll sit there with a cup of coffee and whatever, or when I'm waking up, or I'll relax. So I do something pretty similar to that. But I definitely want to make sure that I create a feedback loop with my brain, and I'm hearing what ideas it's giving me, so that I can evaluate them and build off them. Okay, I'm done there, Mike.
Great. And there was a question there from Paul. Did you want to have a look at that?
David, when you're talking about, I'm reading Paul's question. David, when you're talking about quote unquote crossing stuff off the list quickly, it seems to fly in the face the value of brainstorming. Let's see. It's not squelching. I'm not squelching the stuff from my brain, but the more, if you go to the model of breaking through like a wall, then you're too spread out if you try to hold on to all these ideas. See, I'm able to cross an idea off for real. It isn't like I discard it because it feels bad. I wouldn't discard it for that reason. If I'm not sure, I'll keep it around. It's only stuff that I can eliminate for certain. But that happens pretty often, where you can eliminate things pretty clearly. And so it's more like if it can definitely be eliminated, then I will. Or if I can know that it's not quite right yet. It's not exactly always eliminating either. If an idea isn't quite good enough, I'll say, well, that won't quite get me where I want to be, and so I'll notice that. So it actually helps me. It definitely helps me get to the useful conclusion by flying through that. I'm done with that one.
Great. We had a question there from David Ritchie. It's right above Paul's.
Yeah, I have the question from David. I'll think about that in trying to explain better how I cross things off. It's certainly a strength of mine, and I wouldn't be able to just summarize it instantly very well. But it's a great thing to kind of develop in the future.
Yeah, apparently a very exciting topic for people. Dave Keys asked the same thing. David, what's your best criteria for crossing?
Yeah, well, that's right. That's where I'm getting it from David's. Yeah.
Oh, from Dave Keys, yeah, and I think David Ritchie had.
I see. David Ritchie asked the same thing. Yeah, got it.
Almost the same thing. Okay, great. All right. Well, we're a bit over 2 hours at this point, but awesome. I mean, awesome. Obviously, everybody really enjoyed the event. Do you want to pour your heart out on the
it went a little long, but I figured I'll do it for posterity for the recording.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was killer. I'm just going to give a good old hashtag boom. Brian's asking if we can get that notepad from Jimmy Kelly. Jimmy, are you still there? I don't know if Jimmy's still there or not. But we'll try to get that.
Yeah, I'm here, Mike.
Great. Jimmy, can you send that notepad document over to me, and I'll get it posted with the replay of this video. So that'll be very, very helpful. And and Jimmy, if you have a couple minutes after the event, let me hop on the phone for you, cover a couple things. That'll be really good. Speaking of which, if you really want to see Jimmy live, there's omgmachines.com/live live.php. Tickets are selling briskly. We thought we'd open up OMG Live Nashville significantly early, just to let tickets sell like very slowly over time. That plan, obviously it's been a popular idea that we open up early, but tickets are actually selling out quite briskly. So if you'd like to meet Jimmy at OMG Live and just an awesome event, OMG Live Nashville, and you can read all about it in this letter. Get much deeper into Amazon Plus. This is going to be a big topic there. omgmachines.com/live.php is how to get to that. It'll be really cool. Okay, so I'll get that post from Jimmy and I'll post it up. I want to thank everybody for this event. I thought it was awesome. Thank you to Chris Morris for that wonderful software on GSA. Thanks to Brad Mabry for sharing his earnings report and getting a little bit deeper into Amazon Plus. That's really heating up. Thanks to Jimmy, of course, for that great lesson on using Fiverr for rankings, and of course David Mills on breakthrough thinking and the breakthrough plugin that he gave us today. I'm going to give another hashtag breakthrough. I don't know, I just thought that was cool. Lots of fences coming in. Very cool. All right, great. All right, I want to thank everybody for jumping on the event. And we will be back next week. Next week, very exciting. We will have Greg Morris and the One Man Gang for our acceleration web. So it's going to be a especially special event. We had a lot of fun on this event, and just wonderful crowd every week. I think these acceleration webbies get better and better and better. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. God bless you, and I will see you next time. I guess I'll be the one at the end of the webinar again.